Okay, we were talking in the last little video that we're starting out in an unorthodox manner with Friedrich Nietzsche, who's a 19th, 20th century philosopher, depending on how you look at that. 19th century, because he died in 1900. So we're starting out of order with him, and I gave you some philosophical vocabulary words, namely metaphysics, which is a theory of reality. When I use the term metaphysics, it just means a theory of reality. That's the general definition. Of course, the word is Greek. Meta, ta physika in Greek means beyond the physical. Beyond the physical. In other words, when you're talking about metaphysics, you're asking about what is the ultimate backbone to reality? What's the foundation of reality? Or is there none? We're going to see with Nietzsche, he doesn't think there is any. So that's what metaphysics means. We talked about morality and ethics having to do with right and wrong. We said Nietzsche is going to be calling that into question, particularly the Judeo-Christian morality and ethics and the Judeo-Christian metaphysics, or worldview, if you will. He's also going to, in turn, call into question what it means to be a human being. So Nietzsche's anthropology, which just means the study of a human being, is going to be unorthodox too, or controversial, because he's going to be a radical Darwinian, and it's going to be against the Judeo-Christian understanding of the human being as a body and soul, or a body and spirit. But let me say something about what philosophy is. So this is intro to philosophy, okay? What is philosophy? Well, philosophy it can be understood as in a noun sense or in a verb sense. The noun just means a philosophy in terms of a worldview. If you have your own particular philosophy on life, which I'm sure you do. Every single person has their own philosophy on life. Even if you've never had an explicit or reflective philosophical thought, I guarantee you have a philosophical perspective. You have a worldview. You have an idea of what you think reality is about. Moreover, you have a metaphysics, right? Because that's what reality is. You probably have somewhere back there, whether you got it from your parents, the culture, TV, whatever, you have an idea of what reality is. Moreover, you have an idea of what morality is. You have an idea of what right and wrong is and what good and bad are, right? Even if you think there is no such thing, I guarantee you think that, or when you're sort of on autopilot, you find yourselves, making moral decisions and judging situations morally. Particularly what's going on in the media right now in 2020. So this is almost June 2020. What's going on with protests and things like this? People are very much upset about the injustice of certain situations with the police and African Americans. That's a moral and a philosophical argument that you're engaging in, and they're engaging in. Okay. So metaphysics, morality, and anthropology. You likely have an idea of what it means to be a human being, right? Maybe you think a human being is just we're just sophisticated killer apes. Maybe you have a Judeo-Christian understanding of what a human being is. So the point here is that philosophy, understood as a noun, means a kind of perspective on the world, a worldview, okay? And everyone has one. Now, that's the first point. Philosophy in the noun sense means a worldview, and everyone's got one. Philosophy, B, in the second sense, means philosophy as a verb, okay? That is the activity of philosophizing. And the activity of philosophizing, what's that? The activity of philosophizing is simply coming to own or appropriate or coming under control of your own philosophical perspective or worldview for yourself. That is, actively and in a disciplined manner, thinking about what reality is and what a human being is and what is right and what is wrong, okay? This is super important because the activity of philosophizing guarantees that the philosophy, the perspective on the world that you hold to be true is your own, that you didn't just mindlessly take it from the culture or from peers or from your parents, okay? Whenever I teach intro to philosophy class, usually I have a student raise their hand the first day and say, isn't this all nonsense? Isn't this just a waste of time? You're probably, angry you have to take a course like this. My response is very simply, well, look, you already have a philosophy. And if you don't actively engage in a disciplined manner in the activity of philosophizing, what will likely happen is you'll have a philosophical perspective that is not your own, unreflective, and most of the time when you really push and prod people who have not taken an intro to philosophy class or not actively engaged in philosophical thinking in a disciplined manner, what they end up having is a philosophical perspective that is a bunch of strung together cliches, right? This is the thing they go to in times of need. When something bad happens, they'll say, well, everything happens for a reason. That's a cliche. Maybe that's true, but let's think about what that means, right? Wouldn't it be nice to read the brilliant minds of Western culture and to see what they thought about metaphysics, anthropology, morality, right? That way, at least you can see how they thought about these things in a disciplined manner. That way you can understand and take control and appropriate and own the philosophical perspective that you have for yourself.